Hey everybody, this is Bill Varney from FishTheSurf.com with your Friday, October 24th surf fishing report. So the first thing I'd like everybody to know that a week from Saturday, November 1st at Tackle Day at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego, I'll be giving a seminar on the Tomahawk at about 9:15 in the morning. We'll start on the boat, the Tomahawk, about surf fishing. We're going to talk about all the equipment I use, but more importantly, I'm going to bring a bunch of baits down there with me: lugworms, bloodworms, mussels, ghost shrimp, sand crabs. I'm going to show you exactly how to hook and fish those baits at the beach. So please come on down. We'd love to see you. Of course, it's free. Tackle Day's great. There's all these vendors with great stuff for sale on the cheap, so check that out. So Saturday, November 1st at Fisherman's Landing on the boat, the Tomahawk. Check me out at 9:15 in the morning, a week from Saturday. So check that out for sure. So talking a little bit about the conditions wise, we've had a lot less people in the surf fishing in the last week or so, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, people going back to school, people busy at work, all of those things. So we've had less coverage than we'd have before. We also had quite a bit of debris over the past couple of weeks with swells coming down from the northwest and swells coming up from the south. So our report is a little lighter than it would usually be. So please, everybody, send me your surf fishing reports when you go to the beach. Whether you catch something or not, we love to know what the conditions were in the area that you went to for sure. The other thing is that we have this ongoing, off-going northwest swells coming down from the Aleutians in Alaska, from north to south, and then we have swells coming up from the middle of Mexico, from hurricanes down there and tropical storms coming north. We've seen that battle back and forth over the past couple of days. The swells have been stronger from the northwest, but that should change in about 7 days. We have EP 92, Eastern Pacific Tropical Storm 92. It looks like it's going to turn into a tropical cyclone or a hurricane in the next 7 days or so. And because of its fetch, it's really going from about the middle of Mexico, southern Mexico, straight over to the Hawaiian Islands. Because of that angle, it should send quite a few swells and warm water again up along the south-facing beaches beginning next week. So look for that. So that should pick up fishing for sure. And then remember to check out my dry lugworm video. That's really great. Shows you how to use those, how to fish those in the surf. What an excellent bait that's been. I'm so excited about it. Check out my articles on fishthesurf.com. Over 50 articles about all different types of things for surf fishing. Fishing for halibut in the surf, catching bait, what to look for down there, how to prepare for the beach, etiquette, everything you need to do. And then also at Bill Varney Surf Fishing on YouTube, I've added a number of videos on there on my playlist about how-to videos in surf fishing. Check that out for sure. So up in Santa Barbara, once again, there's been really a downturn in the number of anglers up there, and we did have some debris off and on. Looks like it's cleared up quite a bit up there in the last week or so, so that's a really good sign. Perch fishing all along the Santa Barbara coast has remained good. Those fish, those barred surf perch, have been in that 8 to 12 inch size, so they've been a little bigger than they were a few weeks ago. I think they're beginning to go into the winter spawn again, so those bigger fish are coming out and eating. And anglers who've had luck up there have been using grubs, lugworms, bloodworms, and then for those bigger perch, hard baits like Lucky Craft and Battlestar. Those have all worked really good. The other thing too about up there is that halibut fishing remains okay. The fish have really spread out. They were very concentrated before. We've kind of discussed whether that was from a spawning mode they were in or the fact that there was squid up in specific areas up there where we were finding the halibut. They're more spread out. The biggest fish this week was a 26 incher that we heard that was caught up by right off of Hope Ranch, Hope Beach there, which is right near Moore Mesa, right before you get to the Goleta Pier. So that zone continues to be good for halibut fishing around there. We also got a little bit of word that there's still a few white sea bass around up there. They're all kind of up by Campus Point, somewhere between the Gaviota Pier and Campus Point. And there's been quite a few up there. Gosh, we've had them over a few months. This last week, an angler landed a bigger than legal fish on the sand, but before he could get to it, it threw his lure and swam away. So we know there's some bigger fish out there. The question is, can you get through the smaller white sea bass to get to the bigger ones. So fishing remains okay in Santa Barbara and should get a little bit better, should improve a little bit more this upcoming week as we have that south swell push that warm water north for sure. Down in Ventura, we continue to not only see corbina down there, but a few are caught here and there. The baits that have been working have been bloodworms and crab flies. Those seem to be the two baits that have really been tricking the corbina. And as I said, there's been a lot of anglers up in that area who've seen them, but have not been able to get them to bite. So they'll continue to be around a bit longer up there before they probably move a bit south and then make their way into harbors and estuaries for sure. And then all along the coast, really from Lock and Cheat, I'd say all the way down to Oxnard, it's been really good perch fishing for barred surf perch and a few walleye. And those barred have been like in that 8 to 10 inch range with a couple of bigger ones thrown in there. So Ventura continues to be good. One concern we always have about Ventura, and of course in the South Bay down in Los Angeles, is that once we start getting these big swells out of the northwest, it's really going to blow out some of those beaches. So keep your eye on that, but in the meantime, we're going to have this nice offset between the northwest swells and the south swells coming up and keeping the surf small and really mitigating the water temperature. That's a really good sign there. Malibu again this week was AWOL, so if you're fishing Malibu, be sure to send us some fishing reports at fishthesurf@mail.com. We'd love to have your fishing reports from Malibu, learn a little bit more what's going on in there. I specifically am so curious about that section from like El Matador all the way up to Point Mugu. That's so good this time of year. I'd love to get some reports out of there for sure. And then when we go down to the South Bay was pretty good this week. When you're looking about from Delray all the way down to El Segundo, we had some great reports from that area. I'd really like to thank a couple of reporters that we've had for months now, Will and Owen, on their super surf fishing reports that they sent. I really appreciate it. And Owen, you're such a great angler. I really love to see the fish that you show us. So there's been all kinds of stuff down there. There's been shovel nose sharks. There's been leopard sharks caught. Barred surf perch, walleye surf perch, yellowfin croakers. Not any big ones like we saw before, but still yellowfin croakers down there. And a couple of corbina, and anglers once again are still seeing a few corbina down there, but really there's really no crabs at most of the beaches. There's a few here and there, some bigger crabs with no eggs, but really those corbina, they're really in their transition now, maybe a bloodworm or ghost shrimp before they go into the estuaries and the bays for the winter, which will happen here in about 1 month or so, if not sooner. So that continues to be good. And then inside the Redondo Harbor on the breakwater, there's been really good fishing in there for anglers using lures and live bait for both calico bass and buttermouth perch in that zone, and also opali in there. So all three of those have been good in the Redondo Harbor. I have yet to get a good report of bonita in the harbor there, but when they come, I hope you anglers will let me know. That's one of the most exciting and fun things to do, is fish the bonita in Redondo Harbor. And then when we make our way down to Rat Beach, remember we talked about it yesterday, last week, that South Torrance area had slowed down, but a couple of anglers had been skunked down there. Well, once again this week it picked up a little bit. It wasn't on fire, but there was a pretty good bite on yellowfin croaker. Once again, those smaller fish in that 1 to 2 pound range. And then a nice corbina, a nice 22-inch corbina caught down there on a hard sand crab. I think what we're going to see with this swell coming up next week is it should push a little bit more warm water in that pocket down there, and that area could remain good for another 2 or 3 weeks. So keep your eye on that South Torrance area. That continues to be good. And as you know, from like a month ago, it was absolutely red hot with halibut, white sea bass. There were striper down there, bonito, barracuda, calico bass, perch, corbina, all that was going on down there. That might come back to life for the next week or so and be around for a couple of weeks. Keep your eye on it for sure. And then as we make our way down to Orange County, that zone, once again, that Belmont, Seal Beach area continues to kick out those sublegals. No real reports this week about big fish caught down in that area. And then when we look along Surfside and go through Bolsa Chica and really all the way down past the Newport jetties there, that northern Orange County area, that's been particularly good for barred surfers. Once again, in this 8 to about 12 inch categories. Some, I think I saw 13 inch or so this week also down there. And the bigger fish down there have been caught adjacent to rock structure, and then big numbers of those smaller fish have been caught, those barred surf perch and walleye, just on the open beach area. So that continues to be good down there. And then there was a report this week of a 22-inch spot fin croaker caught on a bloodworm right up against the jetty, right where the jetty and the sand meet, which is a great area for fishing. That edge right there was where a nice spot fin this week was caught, for sure. So that continues to be good. I think it will pick up. We'll see, of course, less corbina down there, but we'll see bigger perch. We'll see more halibut. We'll be down there as the winter makes its way on, and we'll see a couple of varieties of perch down there, which is good too. So, and not much word this week from southern Orange County trestles or San Onofre, but I know those areas are still good. Hopefully we'll get some coverage, and you guys can send me an email or a text message and give me a report from down there. That'd be great. And then as we make our way down to San Diego, you know, that oceanside beach area, which I've talked about before, it's like from the harbor rocks over to the pier. That remains good for barred surf perch in that area, a lot of 8 to 10 inch barred surf perch. And the other area down there that's been good on the barred surf perch has been the Carlsbad area, all the way from about where the power plant is, all the way below, well, to Ponto, I would say, below the state park there. That whole zone has been good, and anglers have been seeing a lot of corbina down there, but they haven't been biting. But once again, I'm not sure if they're throwing out a bloodworm or a ghost shrimp or something a little bit more exotic or different for them. And the areas where they're really saying that they're seeing a lot of corbina down there in the surf is right around where the power plant jetty is and where the water comes out there. So keep your eye on that area. And this time of year, over the years, I've seen several anglers fishing from the rocks there, maybe about halfway out on that jetty, and then on the ocean side of it rather than the inside tributary side, using mussel, catching some really nice corbina this time of year. I think they're snuggled up against the rocks there, and they're looking for sidewinder crabs and other, you know, food to fall off those rocks, and that's why they've been doing really good on that edge of where rock meets sand right there. So that continues to be good. Not many reports this week at all from kind of the middle Torrey Pines or so, or the middle of San Diego County, but more reports again this week from Mission Beach and Pacific Beach. The good news down there was thankfully not quite as much debris in the water as we've had over the past couple of weeks. It's definitely slowed down there as it's slowed down along the whole coast. Anglers there are doing really, really well on these perch. Once again, these about 8 to 12 inch barred surf perch. Fishing for them has been really good. Once again, on the grubs, the mussels, clams, any of those type of baits, lugworms, bloodworms, and then the bigger ones have all been caught on those hard baits like the Lucky Craft and the Battle Star. That's where the bigger fish are being caught. And then another report from down there tells me, hey, I've looked all along the beach down there. I'm finding a couple big sand crabs here and there, maybe under the Pacific Beach Pier or on the open beach, but they have no eggs and there's very few of them. So I think most of our crabs now have gone into hibernation. Of course, a lot of the surf fish have moved on to what would be natural for them to eat in the fall, and then of course coming into the winter. And then last but not least, a corbina was caught down there at Mission Beach, and then a nice 24-inch spot fin croaker, and both of those were caught by a single angler on lugworms, and also he was using bloodworms, lug and bloodworms. So both of those have seemed to work down in that area. Other than that, I want to remind everybody once again, November 1st, a week from Saturday, Fisherman's Landing, a free surf fishing seminar on the tomahawk. We're going to talk about all these different baits we talked about today and show exactly how to hook them. We'll talk about how to catch them, how to keep them, where you can buy them if you need to do that, and how to fish them in the surf. Remember, once again, that check out my YouTube channel, Bill Varney Surf Fishing, and my YouTube channel that's got all kinds of how-to videos, and of course my report every week on surf fishing. And then check out fishthesurf.com, where not only can you sign up for my free newsletter, which will be coming out in about a week and a half or so, and cover everything like fish reports, conditions, what to look for this upcoming month at the beach, and pictures of fish and all kinds of suggestions on how to be a better angler on the beach. Be sure to go on fishthesurf.com. Sign up for that. I just need your email. We don't spam you with other junk. And check that out. And then the other thing is always stay in touch with fishthesurf.com, because it will give you updates on our seminars. We'll have all of our upcoming seminars on the beach coming up next summer, probably posted on there around the 15th of April or so. So thank you everybody for watching today. Until I see you next week, good luck on the beach.